figures of history held beliefs that we no longer share. And so we want to excise them from our history. We want to judge them by today's standards. It seems to me that what's actually happened is we've become very selective rememberers. We remember the things that are convenient for us to remember, that confirm the biases that we already carry, that prove and justify our own choices in our own behaviors. I'm not happy about either one of those things. But perhaps the good thing we can learn from all this remembering and forgetting is that we can choose. There is something we can do about it. We can choose to remember. We have holidays to remember important things. We have holidays to remind us to give thanks, to remind us to be thankful for our mothers and our fathers, to be thankful for great presidents, for labor, for those who have died in the service, for the Declaration of Independence, things that we consider important to us in our communal life. We set aside times to remember. Every year we are reminded of the 9/11 attacks, for example, on September the 11th. And those things that are important to us, we remind ourselves of on a regular basis. Our faith is a faith of remembering. Remembering what God has done among his people. Remembering what Jesus came to do. Remembering the cross and the resurrection. Remembering so that we may be transformed today and changed into the people that God would have us be. Remembering so that we can tell and share with others what God has done for us and indeed for them. And so we shouldn't be surprised that Jesus reminds us to remember. And Paul reminded the Corinthians to remember, using the words of Jesus. Do this in remembrance of me. I love the word that's used there. The Greek word is anamnesis. An, which is the negative, and then amnesis, the same word we get amnesia from. It is not forgetting, is what we're being told to do. Jesus was speaking to a society, a culture that actually worked at remembering. They didn't have TVs and cell phones and whatnot to entertain themselves in the evening. So when it got dark and they couldn't work, they would sit around and they would tell one another the great stories of their family and the stories of their faith. And they would learn to remember them and to recite them over and over again, often by illiterate people who would learn the stories and remember the stories. When they would gather for the Passover, I love this element of the Passover tradition. They would actually say, why is this night different from all other nights? And the answer was always, because God